Hey, Tainia Recaps fam. Welcome to the channel, and I'm super excited about today's movie. Miracle in Cell Number 7 is a heartwarming and emotional South Korean film that tells the story of Yong-go, a mentally challenged man, and his 6-year-old daughter, Yi-sung. The film begins with Yi-sung, an established lawyer, defending her father against wrongful accusations of a heinous crime. It's revealed that her father was falsely accused of a tragic incident involving, asserting that they are fabricated. After a successful trial, as Yi-sung leaves the prison court, she notices a peculiar sight, a balloon caught in barbed wire. The narrative then transports us to 1997, where a 6-year-old Yi-sung and her father, Mr. Park, are captivated by a Sailor Moon backpack displayed in a store window. Mr. Park promises to get the backpack for Yi-sung as soon as he receives his paycheck. However, a confrontation with a police commissioner ensues when the commissioner purchases the backpack for his own daughter, leading to Mr. Park being unjustly assaulted. Following this incident, they return home without the coveted backpack, but Yi-sung, a compassionate child, remains undeterred. Despite her young age, she cares for her father, who faces challenges due to a developmental disability. The next day, Mr. Park, having received his paycheck, is approached by the police commissioner's daughter. She offers to guide him to another store that sells a similar backpack. Unfortunately, a tragic accident occurs as the little girl slips on the icy pavement, leading to a fatal incident with a falling brick. These events set the stage for a unique narrative that unfolds, showcasing the strength of familial bonds and the impact of unforeseen circumstances. In a desperate attempt to save the little girl, Yong-go rushes to perform CPR. Unfortunately, a misunderstanding arises, leading a female bystander to misinterpret his actions, resulting in her reporting him for assaulting and causing harm to the girl. As a consequence, Yong-go is apprehended and taken to the police station. Owing to his mental illness, he remains unaware of the arrest, pleading to leave, citing his daughter alone at home. However, this plea only leads to him being subjected to police brutality, with officers detaining him until the next day. Come morning, false accusations about seeking revenge on the commissioner circulate. To exacerbate his situation, Yong-go is coerced into providing a false reenactment in exchange for a meeting with his daughter. Meanwhile, Yi-sung, growing increasingly concerned for her father, embarks on a search for him. She stumbles upon a crowd at the crime scene and discovers her father in handcuffs. Despite her fear, the little girl rushes toward him, only to be forcibly held back by the officers. In the aftermath, Yong-go finds himself in prison, facing further violence from both the warden and fellow inmates. Despite the unjust accusations and the harsh treatment, Yong-go remains fixated on thoughts of his daughter. During their assigned working hours, the inmates, including Yong-go, engage in the task of crafting soccer balls. Yong-ho, a prominent figure within the cell and considered a leader, cleverly uses the soccer balls as a cover to smuggle various items, establishing influence within the prison. This, however, doesn't come without consequences. The leader and his gang gain both allies and adversaries. One day, a rival gang leader attempts to stab Yong-ho from behind. But Yong-go, noticing the imminent threat, intervenes just in time to save him. Impressed by Yong-go's courageous act, the rival leader is taken aback. In a gesture of gratitude, Yong-ho offers Yong-go assistance in any way possible. Seizing this opportunity, Yong-go expresses his heartfelt desire to see his daughter, Yi-sung. In response, a plan is hatched to bring the little girl into the prison during a scheduled choir performance. At the right moment, Yi-sung is discreetly brought into cell number 7 to reunite with her father. Yong-go, overwhelmed with emotion, embraces his daughter, apologizing for the circumstances that led to their separation. Unfortunately, their reunion is cut short when the church event is abruptly disbanded. The inmates hastily attempt to smuggle Yi-sung out, but they are too late. The church's bus has already departed. Left with no alternative, they decide to keep the girl inside the cell with them. One of the cellmates, initially panicking about potential consequences, contemplates alerting the guards. However, he finds himself unable to do so upon seeing Yi-sung's tearful face. As Yi-sung lives among them, the inmates realize that Yong-go, driven by his deep love for his daughter, couldn't possibly be guilty of the accusations. As a couple of days pass, Yi-sung transforms the prison cell into a playful haven rather than a dreary environment. The inmates, enchanted by her radiant spirit, gradually form a genuine connection with her. One night, the prison warden, reviewing pictures from the choir event, discovers the absence of one performing girl. Realizing that the girl has been smuggled inside, he orders an immediate prison-wide inspection. Yi-sung is found and promptly sent to an orphanage, while Yong-go is confined to a solitary cell. Simultaneously, an attempted arson breaks out that night as a prisoner protests against the presence of a little girl within the prison. Amid the chaos, all prisoners are evacuated to the courtyard, and the warden, attempting to apprehend the protester, gets trapped in the growing fire. Witnessing the perilous situation, Yong-go courageously leaps into the flames to rescue both the warden and the protester, disregarding potential consequences. The scene shifts to the hospital, where the warden wakes up, saved by Yong-go's heroic act. This revelation prompts the warden to question the fabricated crime report, realizing Yong-go couldn't commit such a heinous act. On another front, Yi-sung resumes her schooling. After classes, her teacher inquiries about her absence. But Yi-sung expresses her sole desire to meet her father. She takes her teacher to the prison, leaving her in shock. The reunion between father and daughter is joyous, with the teacher participating in their conversation. Unfortunately, their happiness is short-lived as the visit time concludes, forcing them to part ways. Witnessing Yong-go's profound love for his daughter, the warden becomes more convinced of his innocence, recalling memories of his own son killed by an inmate. After the separation, Yi-sung's grief is overwhelming, leading her to the hospital where the prison warden visits her to check her well-being. During this visit, she requests to be arrested and taken to her father's cell. Touched by her plea, the warden allows her to visit her father every day after school. Driven by a growing conviction of Yong-go's innocence, the warden reviews his crime files, discovering the falsified sworn statement. Determined to rectify the injustice, he secretly initiates a reinvestigation of Yong-go's case, unbeknownst to the fact that the commissioner orchestrated the setup. Meanwhile, within the prison, the inmates from cell number 7 continue to enjoy their time with Yi-sung. In an unexpected turn of events, Yi-sung becomes a source of inspiration for the leader as she teaches him how to read and write, a skill no one knew he lacked. One day, Yi-sung borrows a cell phone from a classmate and brings it inside the prison, handing it to an inmate. This small act of kindness allows the inmate to connect with his wife and newborn baby girl, fostering a deep sense of camaraderie within the makeshift family they've formed. As the days pass, their bond with Yi-sung deepens, and they start living as a cohesive family unit within the confines of the prison. Amidst this newfound unity, they become aware of Yong-go's impending trial. In response, the inmates pledge to train Yong-go rigorously for success in the trial, envisioning his return to a happy life with his daughter. They begin by asking Yong-go to provide a detailed account of the incident. Through various scenarios, they piece together the truth: the commissioner's daughter slipped on a frozen puddle, grabbing a plastic wrap that caused a fatal accident. Realizing Yong-go's innocence and the coercion that led to his imprisonment, the inmates prepare him for potential prosecution questions. Despite the challenges posed by his mental illness, they maintain confidence in his ability to prevail due to the mistreatment he endured. The inmates meticulously document possible questions and answers, which Yong-go studies day and night. Additionally, they organize a petition from fellow prisoners, expressing solidarity and support for Yong-go during his trial. Amidst the preparations, a public lawyer arrives to meet Yong-go, delivering a grim message. The lawyer insists that Yong-go must plead guilty to protect Yi-sung, citing threats from the commissioner. Dishearteningly, the lawyer abandons the prisoner's petition, claiming it won't be of any help. The narrative then shifts to the highly anticipated trial day, where Yong-go is brought to court for his final verdict. In the waiting room, the commissioner erupts in a fit of rage, physically assaulting Yong-go and threatening to harm his daughter if he doesn't confess. Despite the coercion, Yong-go, deeply concerned for his daughter's safety, sacrifices himself by pleading guilty to the accusations. The prison warden attempts to convince the judge that Yong-go is mentally intimidated, but the plea falls on deaf ears, and Yong-go is ultimately sentenced to death. The execution date is set for December 23rd, coinciding with Yi-sung's birthday. Back in the prison, the inmates, moved by sympathy for Yong-go, take matters into their own hands. They devise a plan to build a hot air balloon to facilitate his escape, dedicating their days and nights to the project, driven by the motivation to free an innocent man from the clutches of injustice. Seeking assistance, they request help from other prisoners and Yi-sung's teacher. A few days later, the prison organizes a program featuring Yi-sung and other children performing a choir. At the end of the performance, Yi-sung takes her father's hand and invites him to the yard, with other prisoners joining to create the illusion of an ongoing event. Seizing the moment, the inmates release the rope, sending Yong-go and Yi-sung soaring on the balloon. As the guards become aware of the escape attempt, the inmates prevent them from chasing the balloon. However, the balloon's rope gets caught by barbed wire, foiling their plan. Now with nowhere to go, father and daughter use the moment to savor the setting sun together. On December 23rd, Yong-go and the cellmates celebrate Yi-sung's birthday before he is taken for execution. They surprise her with a birthday cake and multiple gifts. Finally, Yong-go presents her with the Moon Sailor backpack they had longed to buy. Overjoyed, Yi-sung expresses her gratitude, thanking him for being her father. As the two embrace, the fellow inmates, aware of Yong-go's fate, struggle to contain their tears. Despite their sorrow, they remain silent in front of Yi-sung, pretending that her father is being transferred to another facility and encouraging her to stay strong. Shortly afterward, the prison guards arrive to take Yong-go for execution. Before leaving, he expresses gratitude to his fellow cellmates for their care and support. The inmates, helpless and saddened, share in the sorrow as Yong-go walks past the hall with his daughter. In a poignant moment of separation, Yong-go tries hard to hold back his tears, hugging Yi-sung for the last time before heading to his execution. While walking away, he hears his daughter's voice and rushes back to embrace her. Pleading for help, he expresses his desire not to be separated from his daughter, but it's too late, and even the warden seems powerless. Tragically, Yong-go is eventually executed for a crime he did not commit. 16 years later, Yi-sung, now a lawyer, appeals for her father's case, still considered a criminal. With the support of the prison warden and Room 7 inmates, she finally proves his innocence. The judge overturns the previous verdict and orders a reinvestigation into the girl's death, bringing immense joy to the former inmates, the warden, and a tearful Yi-sung. The scene then transitions back to the beginning of the film, where Yi-sung envisions Yong-go and her younger self on the hot air balloon waving goodbye. The movie concludes as she tearfully bids farewell to her father as the balloon flies away. Tainia recaps family, that brings us to the end of today's video. I hope you found the movie enjoyable. If you did, you know what to do, hit that like button, share it with your friends, and if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss out on future content. I love hearing from you, so drop a comment below with your thoughts on the recap movie or any suggestions for future videos. Your feedback truly means the world to me.